In the previous chapter, we saw the Israelites getting closer to the promised land. So they sent out scouts to see what it was all about and what the condition was of that land and who were the people that were there. There were 12 scouts, one for each of the 12 tribes. Of the dozen, 2 of them came back and said it was great, fabulous land, and that they should go right now and take it over. It is the perfect time. The other 10, they came back, they agreed that the land was really good, but they were afraid of the people that were there. They had great, mighty cities, and they had sizable populations. And some of these people, they were the Nephilim. There were giants in the land. And compared to them, they were but grasshoppers. So they didn't think it was such a great idea to go into the promised land, for they thought there is no way they would be able to conquer them and to possess the land. So now we're going to be looking at the fallout of this report. Numbers 14:1. And all the congregation cried out with a loud voice, and they wept that night. 14:2. All the Israelites grumbled and deplored their situation, accusing Moses and Aaron, to whom the whole congregation said, "Would that we had died in Egypt, or that we had died in this wilderness." The Israelites, they have been on an impossible journey, and the Lord has performed all these different miracles, and the Israelites have seen all these miracles to bring them to this point. Yet they have no faith. They don't trust God at all that He could bring them into the land. So they are just kind of murmuring and complaining and crying and whining. And they miss those things in Egypt. They miss the food in Egypt. They miss the routine in Egypt. I'm sure they don't miss the taskmaster's whip, but the routine of their work in Egypt, it was probably comforting having that routine. And now that they're out of Egypt, every day is different, and there is no routine in that same form or fashion. And it is breaking the heart of the Israelites, and they're at that breaking point now, where they went through all of this stuff, and they see this promised land. They know that the land is good, but they don't see how they could possibly get in there. And they're blaming Moses and Aaron, that they brought them out of the land of Egypt all the way up here to see a land that they would never be able to possess. And it's just breaking their hearts. And they're saying that it would have been better if they died in Egypt, or if they died in the wilderness. But now that they have witnesses that see just how great this promised land is, that hope, but not being able to possess it, is just shattering their psyche. And they're very sad and disappointed as a result. Numbers 14:3. Why does the Lord bring us to this land to fall by the sword? Our wives and little ones will be prey. Is it not better for us to return to Egypt? 14:4. And they said one to another, "Let us choose a captain and return to Egypt." It's almost like a mob mentality here, where they keep murmuring and talking amongst themselves, and then someone says something, and then they all start going for whatever that person says, and it just escalates. And it's escalated to the point that we see this fear that they don't want to lose their wives and kids, and they want to return back to Egypt. Forget Moses, forget Aaron. We got to get someone else to lead us back into the land of Egypt. Go back down to Egypt and become the slaves of the Egyptians again. Numbers 14:5. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of Israelites. The situation here is out of control. It has gone too far. There is a mob, and they have a desire to return back to Egypt. Moses and Aaron, they're pleading with the people. They're bowing down to the people. That's what the face down means. It is a kowtow, a prostration, to get the people to listen to them, to be reasonable and listen to what they have to say. Numbers 14:6. And Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among the scouts who had searched the land, rent their clothes. 14:7. And they said to the company of Israelites, "The land which we passed as scouts is exceedingly good land. Joshua and Caleb are outraged by the people. They see the folly in the people, for they went to the promised land. They saw how great and wondrous it was, and they have faith in the Lord to bring them there. And they're so disappointed and so upset. They don't really have anything they can do, so they're ripping their clothing to show a protest of the way that the people are acting here. The rending of the clothes, we see that in other portions of the Bible, usually around funerals or traumatic events, that it is just kind of an outrage symbol. And that's what they are doing here. Numbers 14:8. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Joshua and Caleb, they know how good the land is. And they saw how strong the people were that were there, and the fortresses, and the giants. But they are trusting in the Lord, that the Lord is the one that can deliver them into that land. And that they don't need to really worry about these things. They just need to get together, march up to the promised land, and everything will be good. Numbers 14:9. Only do not rebel against the Lord, neither fear the people of the land, for they are bread to us. Their defense and the shadow of protection is removed from over them. But the Lord is with us. Fear them not. Caleb and Joshua, they're strong in their resolve. And I like this comparison they have here, that the people, yeah, they're strong, they're big, they're mighty, they're giants, whatever. But they're like bread. Like, how insignificant is that compared to the power of the Lord? That they don't stand a chance with the Lord being on their side. And they've seen all these miracles leading up to this point, and it's probably some sort of level of cognitive dissonance that it's like, well, why doesn't the people, all the Israelites, see this? See what the Lord has done for us up to this point. If he can get them out of Egypt, he should be able to get them into the promised land. Numbers 14:10. But all the congregation said to stone Joshua and Caleb with stones. But the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting before all the Israelites. The congregation, the angry mob here, they don't like the things that Joshua and Caleb are saying. And they want to slay them. They want to kill them. They want to pick up stones and throw stones at them till they are dead. Stoned to death. But then the Lord appears in the tent of meeting, and that stops that event from occurring. Numbers 14:11. And the Lord said to Moses, how long will this people provoke, spur, despise me? And how long will it be before they believe me, trusting in, relying on, clinging to me, for all the signs which I have performed among them? The Lord is airing out his grievances to Moses. This, of course, is rhetorical, that this question cannot really be answered. But it is a precursor to what he is going to say next. Numbers 14:12. I will smite them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and will make of you, Moses, a nation greater and mightier than they. God is very displeased with the Israelites and what they have been doing. And he is ready to destroy them, not necessarily off the face of the earth, but strike them with an intense pestilence. So he would remove their ability of inheritance, and he would severely damage the numbers so that Israel would never become something great again. And he can keep his promises to Abraham by making a nation from the loins of Moses as a descendant. So he can do it another way. In fact, this isn't the first time he has suggested this. Previously, when Moses was on Mount Sinai and the people of Israel made that golden calf and they were worshiping the golden calf, God was ready to destroy them then. But Moses went on behalf of the people and pleaded to the Lord for him not to destroy the people. Numbers 14:13. But Moses said to the Lord, then the Egyptians will hear of it, for you brought up this people in your might from among them. 14:14. And they will tell of it to the inhabitants of this land, They have heard that you, Lord, are in the midst of this people of Israel, that you, Lord, are seen face to face, and that your cloud stands over them, and that you go before them in a pillar of cloud by day, and in a pillar of fire by night. 14:15. Now if you kill all this people as one man, then the nations that have heard your fame will say. 14:16. Because the Lord was not able to bring this people into the land which he swore to give to them, therefore he has slain them in the wilderness. So Moses is negotiating with the Lord on behalf of the Israelites. And it's quite interesting, his method of negotiation. He does not say that the Israelites are innocent or that they do not deserve this judgment. There is nothing of that sort. He suggests that the Lord has mercy for the Israelites based upon God's own name and the things that God himself has said. That if he fails at bringing them into the promised land, the Egyptians will hold that against him. That he said he was going to do these things and he didn't. And after this event would occur, the news of this would spread throughout the world and everybody would know that the Lord was unable to keep his promises or to do the things that he said he was going to do. So Moses is almost asking him not to destroy the Israelites so the Lord can save face, because his holiness and his character are more important than the Israelites. Numbers 14:17. And now I pray you, let the power of my Lord be great, as you have promised, saying. 14:18. The Lord is long-suffering and slow to anger, and abundant in mercy and loving kindness, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, upon the third and fourth generation. 14:19. Pardon, I pray you, the iniquity of this people according to the greatness of your mercy and loving kindness, just as you have forgiven them from Egypt until now. Moses is continuing his intercession, looking at the character of God as a reason to prevent the destruction of the Israelites. And he is pleading with the Lord not to destroy them, to give them another chance, or have some other method so that they can continue on towards the promised land. Numbers 14:20. And the Lord said, I have pardoned according to your word. 14:21. But truly as I live, and as all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. So the Lord pardoning the Israelites for their transgression here is multidimensional. Yeah, Moses asked for him to pardon them or to forgive them and to not destroy them, and the Lord is going to go through with that by not destroying them. But there are more reasons than that. God is also setting up things for the long game, for he has a plan for Israel in the future. Even today, he has a plan for Israel. There is still things that need to be done. Numbers 14:22. Because all those men who have seen my glory and my miraculous signs, which I have performed in Egypt and in the wilderness, yet have tested and proved me these 10 times and have not heeded my voice. This section here is kind of funny. The Lord is going to pardon them. He's going to forgive them. But at the same time, we have this sentence here. And the Lord is pointing out just the absurdity of it, in that he has done all these things, all these miracles, and they have been with him on this journey for quite some time. And the amount of faith that they have, that they are lacking still, is quite tremendous. All those different events, and they still don't believe, and they still can't trust the Lord. What is it going to take for them to trust the Lord? Numbers 14:23. Surely they shall not see the land which I swore to give their fathers, nor shall any who provoked, spurned, displeased me see it. So the Lord is not going to destroy them. He's not going to send the pestilence in. He's going to continue on with this journey. But these people here, they are not going to see the promised land. There is still a punishment for what they have done. Numbers 14:24. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me fully, I will bring into the land into which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. God is discussing the punishment for the Israelites, but he is not going to punish Caleb, for Caleb brought the good news to the people. Even though they didn't listen to him, he brought the good news that the promised land was going to be good, and they just had to go in there and take it. So God is going to allow Caleb and his descendants to go into the land and have it for a possession, whereas these other people, they're never going to see the promised land. Numbers 14:25. Now because the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwell in the valley, tomorrow turn and go into the wilderness by way of the Red Sea. So now that they are no longer going to have a possession of the land, they need to leave. They need to get out of this area, return back to the wilderness. And God is going to use the Amalekites and the Canaanites to deliver a judgment to the Israelites if they continue to pursue the promised land and try to go in there now. Numbers 14:26. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron. 14:27. How long will this evil congregation murmur against me? I have heard the complaints the Israelites murmur against me. 14:28. Tell them, as I live, says the Lord, what you have said in my hearing I will do to you. Here we have God laying out another type of punishment for the Israelites based upon their murmurings. The things that they were murmuring about and complaining about, whining about, God's going to let them happen, or he's going to make them happen as a judgment towards the Israelites. I kind of wonder if this is God removing some of the safeties that he set in place for their journey. From when they left Egypt until now, God put protections on the Israelites, and he is going to be pulling some of those back so that they will feel more of the harshness of their journey. Numbers 14:29. Your dead bodies shall fall in this wilderness, of all who were numbered of you, from 20 years old and upward, who have murmured against me. At the beginning of the book of Numbers, we saw a survey take place, counting the people that were in Israel by each tribe. I guess it was actually counting the men, 20 years old and upward. So all those people that were counted in this survey, they are not going to be allowed to enter into the promised land. So they are going to be wandering around in the wilderness until all these men are dead. With some exceptions. The Levites were not counted among them, and there's some people that are not going to be under the judgment as well, as we'll see in a couple seconds. Numbers 14:30. Surely none shall come into the land in which I swore to make you dwell, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun. 14:31. But your little ones, whom you said would be a prey, them I will bring in, and they shall know the land which you have despised and rejected. I like this verse. It's quite good in that at the beginning of this chapter we saw the Israelites complaining that they were going to lose their little ones and lose their wives to these people. And now God is saying, the people that you thought you were going to lose to them, they are going to be the ones to take the land. There's kind of like a poetic justice there or something. And it also shows that God is listening and he pays attention to all these things. And the way that he sets this up is quite brilliant. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. Numbers 14:32. But as for you, your dead body shall fall in this wilderness. So it's almost like a prison. They're going to be trapped in the wilderness, and they're going to go about their business, never really being comfortable, never really having a home for years until they all die. It's very severe. Numbers 14:33. And your children shall be wanderers and shepherds in the wilderness for 40 years, and shall suffer for your whoredom, your infidelity to your espoused God, until your corpses are consumed in the wilderness. This punishment is so severe that portions of it are being transferred to their children, that their children are going to be wandering around in the wilderness, waiting for their parents to die so that they can enter into the promised land. And depending on when you're born, that's a pretty long time. Numbers 14:34. After the number of the days in which you spied out the land of Canaan, even 40 days for each day a year, shall you bear and suffer for your iniquities, even for 40 years, and you shall know my displeasure, the revoking of my promise, and my estrangement. So the length of the wilderness wandering is not arbitrary. It is based on something. It is based on the length of the days in which the scouts went into the land. And I think this is a good idea. This makes it so that the people of Israel, every year that goes by, they will remember this event and remember their sin and how they fell short. Numbers 14:35. I, the Lord, have spoken. Surely this will I do. All this evil congregation who is gathered together against me in this wilderness, they shall be consumed by war, disease, plagues, and here they shall die. This is a conclusive statement to what we saw previously with what the Lord has discussed regarding the disciplinary action for the Israelites. Numbers 14:36. And the men whom Moses sent to search the land, who returned and made all the congregation grumble and complain against him by bringing back a slanderous report of the land. 14:37. Even those men who brought the evil report of the land died by a plague before the Lord. Now that the punishment has been laid out for the Israelites, it is time for the punishment for the spies who brought back these evil reports. And of the 12 spies, 10 of them were struck with a plague and they were killed. Numbers 14:38. But Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among the men who went to search the land, lived still. So of the scouts, only 2 of them gave a good report, and God is not going to punish them, for they did the right thing. Numbers 14:39. Moses told the Lord's words to all the Israelites, and they mourned greatly. So all this that we have seen here was communicated to Moses, and now Moses has the responsibility of relaying this to the Israelites, and it upset them. It was probably very depressing to find out that they would be wandering the wilderness for 40 years until they die. Numbers 14:40. And they rose early in the morning and went up to the top of the mountain, saying, Behold, we are here, and we intend to go up to the place which the Lord has promised, for we have sinned. The Israelites didn't seem to take the news of their punishment very well, and now they are in rebellion again immediately afterwards, and they're going to try to go into the land on their own now, without the help of the Lord. Numbers 14:41. But Moses said, "Why now do you transgress the command of the Lord, to turn back by way of the Red Sea, since it will not succeed?" 14:42 Go not up, for the Lord is not among you, that you be not struck down before your enemies. 14:43 For the Amalekites and the Canaanites are there before you, and you shall fall by the sword, because you have turned away from following after the Lord. Therefore the Lord will not be with you. So Moses has warned the people that what they are about to do is a terrible idea. But the people, they're not listening to Moses. They want to go to that promised land now. They don't want to wander in the wilderness for 40 years. So they're taking their chances and they're going up that hill and trying to go into the promised land. Numbers 14:44 But they presumed to go up to the heights of the hill country. However, neither the ark of the covenant of the Lord nor Moses departed out of the camp. 14:45 Then the Amalekites came down, and the Canaanites who dwell in that hill country, and smote the Israelites, and beat them back, even as far as Hormah. The Lord was not with them on this adventure, and they paid the price. They were trying to do it on their own, without the power of the Lord, and as a result, they were beaten back fairly severely by the locals. And now they are going to have to concede to their punishment and begin the wilderness wandering for 40 years.